Welcome to the Social Engineer Podcast. This is the Security Awareness Series, episode 271. I'm Chris Heinecke, CEO and founder of Social Engineer LLC, the Innocent Lives Foundation, and the Institute for Social Engineering. And this podcast has been around since 2009, if you can believe that. And podcasts were done with strings and cans. That's how old I am. So, as always, this episode is sponsored by our company, Social Engineer LLC. And if you haven't heard, I've mentioned it a million times. Really excited about the October conference coming up. October 30, the Human Behavior Conference is going to be down here in Orlando. Beautiful time to be out of the up north where it's cold. Come down here. Joe Navarro, Dr. Abby Morono, and myself running a day-long workshop teaching you how to use elicitation skills, nonverbal skills, and negotiation, sales, and leadership. So check out humanbehaviorcon.com for more information on that. Also, if you really like the topic of social engineering, you should be in our Slack channel. If you don't know where the link for that is, it's in the show notes. And if that one doesn't work, as they do die often, just ping me on LinkedIn or another social platform, and I'll be more than happy to get you the link. We have about 1,500 people in there now daily talking about all aspects of SE. We even have a job board. So if you're searching and you're in the InfoSec industry, I think we've had about 10, 11 people find work at employment matching with companies that are in there looking to hire people. So come on in and join us. If you are interested in family-friendly and legal chat, then that is us. If you're looking for something else, probably shouldn't join. Okay, now let's see. Where else do we got? Oh, yes. I want to invite everyone here to take a moment to go visit innocentlivesfoundation.org. If you're not familiar with the nonprofit there, it's almost 7 years old now. And we have a mission of helping law enforcement geolocate people who traffic children and create child abuse material. And I am so proud of the team there. We're up to 520 cases that we've handed into law enforcement in the last 7 years. And the work is even getting better, and our team is getting better there. We've grown a little bit over the last few months. So we have a really solid team helping with education, outreach, as well as, of course, working with law enforcement to find these people that are hurting kids. If you want to support our mission, you can do that in a couple ways. If you want to volunteer, you can find out more information on innocentlivesfoundation.org, or if you want to sponsor us, we are a nonprofit, so we can definitely use the financial help, and you can find out how to do that on the website too. You can get the link in the show notes if you were running or driving, so you don't have to write it down now. And if you like the music at the beginning of the episode and the end, it is none other than the band Clutch. They are our good friends, and they allow us to use their music here. As everyone knows, Neil, the lead singer of the band, helped me start ILF 7 years ago, so we're very fond of them, even more so than we were fans before. And last but not least, if you like this content and the guests, give us a thumbs up and a like, and we will have more guests like this. Your suggestions are very useful. So when you ask for topics, that helps us to go out and look for people who might have the knowledge in the areas that you're asking. And like today, we're going to have a great conversation. So let's get right to it. What's the reason we're all here, which is to talk to Kimberly. She's the Deputy CISO, Director of Cyber Operations and Cloud Security for American Century Investments. She has over 17 years experience in the financial services sector. And prior to joining American Century, Kimberly ran the information security program for the second largest capital markets desk in the world, responsible for securing systems that process $1 trillion debt portfolio. That number doesn't even make sense to me. Kimberly is an advisory member and IT leader for the Charter for Veterans, a nonprofit organization assisting recovering combat wounded veterans. She's an advocate for mentorship and coaching across the security industry and participates in several industry groups. Sounds like we're going to have a lot to talk about. Thank you for being on the show today, Kimberly.
Thanks for having me.
So I'd like to start off with this question with everybody. So how did you get to where you are in your career right now? What was your path to get there?
Sure. So I studied computers, information science systems in college, got an IT job straight out of college. And I remember my boss at the time was leaving, and he left me a security book. And I started flipping through it. And next thing you know, I was at the end of the book. I couldn't stop reading it. And I was fascinated. And it was such different material than I was learning in college. It was exciting. And I decided to transition into a security career. So I started as a firewall administrator. At the new company, my boss took me under his wing, taught me everything he knew about security. And I did everything from firewalls to antivirus. And as I worked at that company, I worked on cyber risk and oversight and governance. And then towards the end, now I'm managing a cyber information security program. So there's just so many different facets of security that you can get involved with, I found I've never gotten bored.
I'm going to put you on the spot. You remember the name of the book?
It was Hacking Exposed.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. That is a great book.
Author of writing it. He goes, "Oh, Kimberly, you really got to check this out. I'm writing it."
I have that book right over there, sitting right on the shelf. Yeah, that is, I think that's if you're in the information security industry, you're in security part. I think that book, everyone's read it at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. What a great story. What a great origin story. So when, that transition going now to like being a deputy CISO, I mean, that's not a small leap from starting as a firewall manager to a CISO. That's a big deal. So, now you're in charge of all of the security in the realm of American Century Investments. And that $1 trillion debt portfolio sounds a little scary. So what are some of your biggest worries when it comes to being a CISO with something that large under your belt?
So when the $1 trillion debt portfolio, that's when I worked for the Federal Home Loan Bank's Office of Finance. But the different types of financial environments that I've been in have very different environments and challenges. So I'd say it's exciting. You know, there's a heavy focus on regulatory compliance with financial institutions, but at the same time, people want to do well. They want to build secure systems. They want to have they want to make sure the systems they're responsible for are secure, but sometimes they may not know how to do it. They may not know the configurations, or they may not know what best practices are. And so I found really partnering with the different environments and the different system owners, they're very welcoming to know how to lock things down and secure them to build a secure product.
So Kimberly, in our business, we deal a lot with a lot of CISOs. And one of the topics that is very important to CISOs that we work with is security awareness programs. And I know in my time and working since I've been running this company since 2010, I've made a few mistakes in my career with security awareness programs. What would you say is maybe one of your biggest mistakes in starting a security awareness program?
Yeah. So, when I first started getting into management of a security program, it included the security awareness piece to it. And I was excited. I was running phishing assessments. I was, really eager to get an impactful phishing assessment. And so I kicked off an HR employment survey phishing assessment. And it just so happened to be at the same time that HR was kicking off their employment survey for the year. And it was tied to executive goals, and it turned into this huge disaster. And so I learned that if you're ever going to simulate an environment or a department within your company, it's best to probably partner with them and make sure it's not occurring at the same time that they're running a survey.
You know, as terrible as that is, and I only laugh not at you, but it's with you, because I think anyone who's run a program, I did something very similar once with a healthcare rollout, and was running a phishing simulation with a healthcare rollout at the same time they were actually doing their new healthcare rollout, and they were dealing now with deadlines that weren't going to be matched or hit because of our phishing program. I can laugh about it now, but that was one of those moments where I thought, we're losing this client. We created a mess in their lives. I was like, this is terrible. So, we learn from those things.
Yeah, I had a really strong management structure at the time. They understood the importance of phishing assessments. So, I was very, very nervous, but we all worked through it together.
So now that we can kind of look back and laugh at the mistakes, what would you say are some of the greatest learning lessons, things that worked for you? What made you, or what helped you create a really successful program?
So I learned computer-based training, not successful.
Yes.
What I found was successful was gamification or getting people involved. So, I've had a fantastic teams throughout my career that have gone all in. We've done a wheel of security before, where it's like Wheel of Fortune, and you build a wheel that people can spin, and it'll land on policies or best practices or home safety, and you get competition between people in your company. that's been a big success. We've done Jeopardy before.
I love it.
Multiple teams. That was during COVID. And so everybody was remote. And so you had a remote participation that added some new complexities to security awareness training. I think if you come to the table with energy, you come to the table with excitement. Everyone around you seems to absorb that excitement. And if you make it fun and not boring, it's not, check the box part of annual training. When we added gamification, people talked about it throughout the year, and they were looking forward to it the following year, getting their teams lined up, making sure they were reading the policies so that they could win. And then at the end, if you have some type of, we branded security swag. So whether you're a security defender, you had a mug or some type of banner that you could hang up where you work so you could kind of brag about winning. Those were all things that I found really brought people together and made it fun.
I love that. So first of all, some of the things you said that are, I think, really key for people to pick out on. You used the word partner. I think that's a really powerful way of looking at your job, because a lot of times I think, the old like IT team TV show, like, everyone, like they think the IT people are going to come in and be like, treat you like you're stupid, treat you like you're the problem. We come in with that stigma already. So when you talk about partnering, that must have really helped you get everyone on your side. Yeah.
And partnering with the business, we've had a lot of success with, we're calling it an ambassador program. So branching out to each of the business units, having a point person that, comes together and learns about why phishing is dangerous, learns. I was listening to one of your previous podcasts, and I can't remember who it was, but she talked about having people build their own phishing campaign.
Oh yeah, that was amazing, right?
So cool. And so we've brought that back, and we've incorporated that.
Yeah.
And getting your ambassadors is a point person within the business that is your security advocate. And so people on their team may feel more comfortable approaching them, asking questions. You're not going to scary security. And then the ambassador is really your partner, where they feel comfortable bringing those problems, challenges to you, and you can have an open dialogue to really flesh out any issues.
I would imagine the other thing you said that seems like when I have guests on, the litmus test for your success is when your fellow employees are looking forward to your program, because you obviously aren't treating them like garbage. You're not punishing them. I had someone say, I want to be their advocate, not their adversary. I thought, wow, what a great way of putting that. It seems like you've accomplished that.
Yeah. I found if you create a safe environment that people feel comfortable coming to you, they don't feel stupid asking a question. It's very welcoming. It's warm. It's a learning experience. You get more and more people coming to you, asking questions, being more cautious. If you're kind of that tone of welcomeness to bring people in.
I really like that, because I think a lot of times the companies that we've dealt with, they're afraid sometimes to report things if they feel like they're going to be penalized for, I did this bad thing, so I don't want to report it because they're going to punish me. And we really we've tried to change that culture in any company we work with very fast, because we find that those companies are usually at higher risk because things don't get reported. They get pushed under the rug out of fear. So how did you get, besides some of the things you just mentioned, how did you get it to where now people are very comfortable coming to you and your team and saying, I just did something really dumb, I need some help?
Yeah, we've had a combination, a little bit of process and technologies. There's some technologies that are out there that give you the prompts. So if you get a suspicious email, it'll say, are you sure this looks really suspicious? Check these red flags. Or if you're sending something out, it'll say, this has confidential on it. Are you really sure you want to send this to your personal email address? So there's technologies out there to help. And then I find that brings the questions to us as well, where I got this pop up. I didn't mean to do it. Can you help me understand what is right and what is wrong, or where's the policy? And then that helps bring the partnership with those learning prompts. We've also had success around, with a phishing assessment, having a vlog, afterwards that you can post on an internal, company portal that says, okay, we all went through the same phishing assessment together. Let's walk through what the red flags are. And it's that reiterative learning where it says, okay, you're not going to get penalized from clicking on a link. Let's learn why it was bad and help prevent it from occurring in the future.
Love that. So you said something really interesting. You said we all went through it. So you're an advocate for when you do phishing, it's from the CEO down. Everybody gets it. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Oh yeah. And it's, cause your executives are targeted, if not more than your employees. The smishing, the texts that are coming through, the emails that are coming through, all are simulating executives. Yeah. So, it's having them, again, partner with us and understand that they are a target, has been extremely helpful.
Yeah, I love that. So again, sometimes you get a company and they're like, well, this is going to be for all the employees, but you're going to leave the C-level out. And I just want to face palm and like shake your head. Like, do you understand what you just said? Like, that's like only people that need to eat healthy are the kids. The parents can eat whatever they want, right? Like, no, that's a terrible logic. So when you said that, I was like, yes, you seem to be advocating everything the right way in your company.
Yeah. And another success that we've had is actually simulating your executives.
Oh,
of
nice.
course, getting buy-in up front and letting them know, the messages that are being sent out.
That's a good way to keep your job.
Right. But they're the ones that these financial scams are coming from. So if we can simulate it internally and have that initial, shock or see where we are, how susceptible to that type of attack are we? We can customize our training and our awareness activities to focus in the areas where, people feel obliged to, respond to executives more.
I feel like so far you've mentioned that you use a good blend of technology, but also human-based training. Mm-hmm. So how important is that, do you feel, to getting that full solution? Like, I know we can never say any of us are hacker proof. That's impossible, but to at least not be the low hanging fruit. How important do you feel it is that we find a good blend of technology to keep our people safe, then also that good training that you're doing?
Yeah, it complements people, process, technology, and they all complement each other. A single one can't be a silver bullet. That technology is only as good as the people that use it. Mm-hmm. Or if you get a prompt but ignore that prompt and still, click on the email, that they've been able to bypass your technology.
Yeah. I love that. We've been talking a lot about that lately because some of the attacks that we've seen, Cisco with the hundreds of SMSs they sent to get the click for the MFA fatigue, that kind of stuff. It's again, we all know we have to use multi-factor authentication, right? You have to. It's not even a choice anymore. But it's like you just said, what I loved is the human behind it is still and I don't want to say the biggest problem, but they're vulnerable if they don't follow the process, right? Because I don't really like the phrase that saying our humans are our biggest weakness, because I think if a good, well-trained employee base is your best defense, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So what other things would you say that, like, somebody listening to this, maybe there's a brand new CISO, someone who's just starting out in their career as a CISO, and they're trying to think about all the things that they can do. Do you have some advice that you would give them, the things to focus on that can make it easier to get to where you are right now?
Okay. I would say two things top of mind are do your basics well. So adopt a control framework like CIS controls. I'm a huge CIS fan, groupie. Call it what you want. But do your basics well, patch, have some type of anti-malware solution on your system. And then the second one is build those trusted partnerships with your business. Understand what your business does so you can know how to protect it. If there's an outage or if some type of malware hits a trading platform, what does that mean? And how can you help protect the most critical business services? You can't do that unless you know the business. So I would even say, sit with your traders for a day, watch the work flow, watch the pattern, understand those applications, how data goes into them, data goes out of them, so that when you're in charge of protecting those systems, you understand the importance of it, and you also can understand better how to protect it.
So how would you suggest, like what you just said is so direly important. So you have a mission critical system, right? I know we have some here in our company, but I don't want to shut them off one day just to test what do we do if they get shut off. So how do you suggest a new CISO listening to this goes about doing what you just said, prepping for that, oh no situation, the biggest, oh my God scenario, without having to actually say, okay, let's just flip the off switch for a few hours?
I think that's where your resiliency programs come into play, your tabletops, your testing. We took, I'll pick on Okta for a minute, but Okta had a breach a while ago that stemmed from a phishing assessment. So you can incorporate all the different pieces of your security program where you take the phishing assessment, replay it in your environment, so you see how susceptible your organization is to falling victim. And then you take the results and put it into a tabletop. So say several of your traders clicked on that email. Okay, their system now has ransomware. It's down. What do we do?
Yeah.
And just have that open dialogue with your, the business needs to be involved in those tabletops and say, if a system goes down, what do we do? Let's think about it before the incident happens. Let's see if there's manual processes. Are there supporting systems that we can rely on, and really take those stressful situations and play them out ahead of time so that it gives you time to really think and ponder on how you would want to respond, which will set you up for success when an incident does happen.
I love that suggestion. So for any new CISOs listening, like a tabletop exercise is such a great way of testing mission critical systems without having to actually kill them to test what you would do if they're dead. So I think that's such a genius idea. And I love the idea of taking like an actual breach that occurred. Like I didn't think about that one, like taking the Okta breach, running the phishing as a simulation before you do the tabletop, seeing if you're even susceptible to that, and then running it based on that. That's like a really great way of thinking about what we're seeing in the current market. Everyone should steal that idea right now.
What I found is most powerful at the end of the tabletop, you have saying, can this happen to us? And you list all the different phases of an attack. Are we susceptible to a phishing assessment? Do we, A, B, and C of how that attack happened? Can that happen in our environment? Do we have controls, basic CIS controls to help protect against it? And you see eyes start going like, okay, this is real. Let's start thinking about it. You get dialogue. You get the business starting to lead efforts to mature your program. And it's just really powerful. They hear about things like Okta on the news, and it resonates with them when you're replaying it within your organization.
I do love that. One other thing you said way before is you talked about when you would have these games like the Jeopardy or the Wheel of Security, that you would include things about home security. Now, why would you do that, even though you're trying to keep them secure at your company? Why are you including home security also?
Mostly because after the first time we did a gamification, 9 out of the 10 questions I got were, how do I apply this at home? Company gives great security awareness training. I know what I need to do with my computer at work, but the company handles a lot of the back-end administration, handles, antivirus, handles patching. You don't have a IT support crew at your house. So what do I do at home? And so we learned that let's include home internet security as part of it, and then also provide some supporting resources and materials that people can take what they're learning and bring it home and apply it.
I've seen companies that do that and they make it personal for that individual, and it just makes them a better employee, right? Because now they're secure at home, they're secure at work. You've made this person literally your human firewall. And that's so smart. I love that you're doing all of this. It's exciting actually, because all we hear is the bad stories, all these companies getting hacked, everything getting breached. And then to at least talk to someone, it's like, okay, we're working on it. We can never sit back and say we're done or that we're hacker proof, but at least we're working on it, which I love that. So, before we get to our final questions, I wanted to just one more time, if someone brand new was listening to, let's say if you can go back in time and tell the the brand new Kimberly CISO, one piece of advice right now that you think would just get you to where you are 10 times faster, what would that piece of advice be?
Okay, get to where I would be 10 times faster. Don't be afraid to listen and jump in.
Oh, I like that.
A lot of times coming into a new role is very intimidating, and it's you can have a lot of anxiety tied to it. Am I, the imposter syndrome comes in, and am I the right person for this? Just take it, own it, and run it. You know what you're doing. You've got the job. Own it and run it and do your best.
I love that. Yeah, you earned the job. So you're there for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's right. I love it. That's such a great piece of advice. On this show, I've been asking this question forever, since 2009. We have a laundry list of books that we read, and I recommend books every show. And it doesn't have to be about being a CISO or about security. But are there any books that you would recommend? You've read them and you love them and you think, I got to share this book with people.
I love reading. I think I could talk about books for hours on end.
I love it then.
If I think about my top books, I've got a top 3 favorite. The first one is Blink by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yep.
And it talks about the first 2 seconds of making a decision or learning, and how our unconscious bias can be in conflict with our active consciousness, and how we make decisions. And I apply that with incident response. It's chaotic. How do we make those split decisions, and how do we make them better? How do we make better decisions?
Love that.
The second one is Pitch Perfect by Bill McGowan. Gives excellent tips and tricks on public speaking, presenting.
Nice.
In the security field, any field, you're going to be public speaking. So how do we take numbers and manipulate them, say the same number in different formats to get your point across? Storytelling, limiting your ums and limiting hesitation, how to be an effective presenter. And then last is Permission to Screw Up by Kristen Hadid. She tells the story of starting her own business, failures, successes, and how showing your vulnerability can instill trust and loyalty within your team.
I love it. Okay. So I've never had Pitch Perfect recommended, and I've never had Permission to Screw Up recommended. So I love when we get new books.
Okay.
That's exciting. And lastly, I know myself included, I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for some great mentors that I've had in my career. Can you think of any that you would say, I would not be here right now today if it wasn't for this person or these people?
I've been really lucky to have strong leadership. People that have taken me under their wing, challenged me with either participation in hard projects or giving me a hard project, advocating for me, bringing me to the table, but then also not being scared to provide constructive feedback on areas that I need to improve and need to grow, giving me a support system to be able to take risks and succeed. And I try really hard to take that same mentality and apply it to my team, give them challenges, support them, and then kind of just sit back and let them shine.
I love it. It's a really nice storyline for your career and your life, because I think it's a lot people can learn from that. Sometimes I find that people are afraid to let others shine because they think they're going to make them look weak. Right. But it's just the opposite, right? When you're thinking about all those people that helped you, you're smiling, you're feeling great about them. They're not looking at them like they were weak. Those people are up there in your eyes, right? So I love that. If people want to follow you or want to chat with you about some of the ideas you said today, what's the best way for people to get in touch?
LinkedIn is probably the best way. Just shoot me a message and I'll reply. Okay.
We'll put your LinkedIn in the show notes. Kimberly, I can't thank you enough. The conversation was excellent. Your ideas are excellent. I'm sure just like you took some from other podcasts, there'll be a lot of people stealing some of your ideas because they were pretty good, especially that using real life breach to do tabletop. So thank you for being here and being such a great example in the community.
Oh, great. Thank you for having me. Really enjoyed it.
No problem. And thank you all for joining us this month on the Security Awareness Series. Stay safe, and until next month when we're joined by another security professional with some more really great ideas. Until then, stay secure and safe. See you.